Okay, in my previous video we talked about how we can access a REST API endpoint, right, using Splunk JS stack. And then basically what we did over there, right, this backed-up path we have constructed using the REST API endpoints over there, right. Now in this video we will concentrate on to adding inputs to this particular dashboard. So if I just show you the first dashboard we are always referring, right, so we have couple of inputs over here like the multi-select, the drop down, the time picker, and those stuff, right. So today we will be concentrating on creating the simple inputs like multi-select, drop downs, and those stuff. Maybe I'll be creating a separate video for the time picker. Now the concept we'll be discussing over here in this video can be applied to any kind of input. Okay, I'm just giving an example of using the multi-select and drop down over here. Okay, so to create an input in Splunk, basically in Splunk JS, so we will follow the similar kind of approach. So we will just go to Splunk Web Framework component reference. Now the first thing we will be creating is a multi-select. If you see it over here, so if I just select multiple values from here, it will be shown up over here, right, this one, right. So there is a component called, if I just go over here, it's a multi drop down view. Okay, so this basically using this one we can create a multi-select drop down. So to use this one, what we need to do, we need to basically load this library as we did previously. We will go to our tmdb.js, right. So over there we will add this particular library over there, right. So this is how we will be adding that library. And as we have added over here, we need to add the returned object name over here as well. So we can give any name. So I'll give the name they have given it over here. Okay, so multi drop down view. So we will, okay, so for now, as it is increasing the number of libraries we are referencing over here, so I'll just make it well formatted over here as well. Okay, so it will be comma, then we are referring the multi drop down view over here, right. Now let us try to see in the documentation, like what are the different characteristics of this guy over here, right. So as with other kind of views, it has a ID. Okay, now allow custom values means it basically indicates whether you basically allow the custom values to be entered in the view. If it is by default it is false. If you make it true, you can type something over here. Okay, and that could be selected as well, like in this view over here. Okay, so now let's go back over here. Now choices, so this is the important one. Now if you see it over here, I'll just try to explain this one. Now these years are coming from our events, right. Now apart from this one, when we have also added this all, so if I just go to edit mode, so this is our first dashboard, right. So this is how we have created this multi-select input over here. We have a search running somewhere, stats count by release year, which is basically getting those release years. On top of that, we have added a static option as well. If you see it, all, the value of all is star, right. So the similar stuff is over here as well in the choices. So you can define the static choices you have it for your input. Okay, and those choices will be preponed or basically pre-append to the existing dynamic choices. So that is how it will be working over there. Okay, now by default you can mention basically what will be the default value of this particular input. By using this disabled, you can basically make this input enabled or disabled dynamically. So default is false. You can mention the initial value by using this one. You can give the level field and the value field. So this is related to this one. If I just go back again, so when you use a particular search string to populate a particular input, right, so we have field for level and field for value, right. So these two properties are this one, level field and the value field over here. Okay, now by using settings, you can basically mention like different basically access or set or get different settings of this particular inputs over here. Okay, and manager ID is the search manager. If you want to basically dynamically populate this particular input, you have to give a search over here, right? So that search ID you'll be giving it over here as a manager ID. And you can also basically manipulate the width as well of this input. So by default it is 200, so you can always manipulate using JS as well, right? And in terms of methods, as render is common for all the views, it is basically draws this view in the screen. Now as I told, the settings dot get and set properties will be using for setting or getting different properties of this particular input, and val is the current value of this particular input over here. Okay, so if you call this particular val method without any parameter, it will basically return the current value. Now if you call the val with a particular parameter, with a single parameter basically, so it will set that particular value to this input. So this is how it works over here. And in terms of event, it has only single event called change. Okay, so the similar kind of attributes exist for dropdowns as well. So that's why if we just understand how multiselect works, so dropdown will be similar kind of stuff over here. So this is how we will be creating a multiselect. So we'll go back to our JS. So as we will be creating those inputs before these single panels are all, so I'll be adding my code over here. Okay, you can add the code anywhere in this JS, so that doesn't matter. But if you add in sequentially, it will be basically useful for when in future you'll be seeing the code. It will be very much useful to debug and other stuff. Okay, so this is my multiple drop down. So the drop down basically deals with the release year, right? So if I just cancel it, so this is my release year, so that's why I'll just give it an ID name called RELSE, release year multiple drop down. Okay, now we have to create a search which will basically populate this multiple drop down. We will follow the same way which we did for TMDB first dashboard, which is built on fully on XML, right? So the release year, basically if you see the search is populating, it is basically referring to the base search and then the stats count by release year, right? So we will do the similar stuff. So we have to basically copy a post-process search manager. So I discussed thoroughly the post-process search manager in my previous videos, right? So if you are seeing this video first time, maybe you can refer the earliest videos over here as well. So I'll be giving that video link over here only. Okay, so I'll name it as RLSE release date post-process search. Now we'll be giving a name ID called RLSE release date search. The manager ID will be my base search, which we have defined at first, right? And then this is stats count by release year, right? So that will become the post process search for my multiple drop down, right? Now this search ID I will be referring over here, right, in the manager ID of this particular drop down, particular multi-select. Okay, so this is done. Now the default value, it has to be, now if you see it over here for this particular dashboard, so if I just close them all, the default value is all, right, which is a static value we have added to this particular multi-select, right? So we have to do it in a similar fashion. So if you see it, when we discuss the different characteristics or different attributes of this particular multi-select, we discussed about the choices, right? So here you can define a choice, basically the static choices, you have it, right? So let us do that one. So we'll say my choices. I have only single choice, right? So if you see, it's basically a JSON array kind of structure. So the label will be the label displayed in the multi-select, that will be all, and the value we will take for the all is star, right? So that will be our this one. So this multi-select, the default value will be star, right? The value of all, and the choices we have to add it over here as well. So we will add choices like this one, choices colon, it will be my choices, right? So that all will be pre-append to this dynamic value of this particular search result. Okay, So level, field for level will be released here, and field for value will be released here as well. Okay, now we have to create a div which will basically populate this particular drop down. So I'll say release your drop down view. Okay, so now we will first try to see whether this multi-select has been working or not, then we will try to replicate similar kind of code for drop down as well. Okay, so we will come over here, we'll first go to edit, we'll go to source. Now we have to add a row which will basically hold this inputs over here, and we will add a single panel over here which will basically, this panel will be basically having all those inputs over here. Generally when you talk about XML or XML dashboard, we basically add, if I just go to source, we basically add a field set tag over here, right? So as we are fully doing it in JavaScript, so we are basically adding a row, and in that row we are displaying those inputs over here. So similar kind of stuff, I will be adding a HTML div over here, right? And the div ID will be the ID we have given it for this multi-select drop down, right? So let us give that one over here, save. So now I have already saved this tmdb.js. Now let's bump it once and refresh this particular dashboard to see whether the multi-select is coming up or not over here. Okay, it is, if you see, it is coming up. It has certain issues, like if you just compare it over here. So if I select 1985, okay, I have to basically refresh this one. So let us go to tmdb first dashboard. Okay, so one of the issues is, if I select 1985, it is replacing all over here, right? If you see it, because this is not a Splunk bug, this is basically a functional stuff we need to fix it over here, because selecting all with a particular value does not make any sense, because for all we are passing a token value as star, right? That will automatically fetch all the year values over there, right? So this one we will be fixing it through JavaScript. So if you remember, I don't know whether we have watched it or not, right? When we talked about when I created a specific video for multi-select, over there we discussed about this issue and we fixed it using a JavaScript code, right? So a similar kind of code we will be using it today as well, okay, while doing that. So that is on the later part of this video, but let us first consider on how we can create all these inputs over here. Okay, now one thing we can see it over here is that there is no name is coming for this multi-select, right? So over here we at least the release year was coming over here. So let us fix that one by using this one. So in the HTML, on top of this div, you can add a paragraph over here. We'll say RELEA, release date. Okay, so that should fix the name of the particular multi-select over here. Okay, so that is fine. Now let us move on. Let us try to create a drop down view as well. So we will refer, so for multi-select we refer this one, for drop down we will refer the drop down view over here, right? So what we need to add it, we need to add this library path. So let us add it quickly. So after multi-select we will add this one, okay, and the name we'll be giving it at the same name as they have given it over here. You can give it any name, okay. So comma drop down view. Okay, now how we will create a drop down view. So if you see the properties of this drop down view, it has similar kind of properties as multi-select over here, okay, almost same. So there are certain kinds of stuff like show clear button, okay, select first choice. So this is an important properties of drop down view, where you can automatically select the first choice when, suppose let's say you are populating the drop down using a search query, right? Now, and you do not use any kind of static value over there or any kind of default value over there. you want to select whatever coming on at the first result of this particular search. Okay, so that thing you can handle with this select first choice. So based on the search result, whatever coming as the first row in this search, that will be selected by default. Okay, now clear button means it basically show the cross over there, right, which is by default behavior over here as well. So if you just select some value over here, it shows a cross over here, right? So that thing you can enable, disable as well using the show clear button. Okay, and other stuff are same. Value we will be discussing latter part when we talk about token over here, and other methods and events are same. So we will just copy this guy over here. So after our multiple drop down, we are going to add a drop down view over here, right? Now the drop down is basically holding, the first drop down is holding the gener ID, right? So let's give it an ID value as gener ID drop down. Now we have to create a post process search similar to this guy over here, release date, right? So let us do that one. Now the ID will be gener ID search, which will basically refer the base search. So if I just go back to the TMDB first dashboard, so this was our gener ID input. So the after referring to the base search, this is the post process search it was running. So we will just paste it over here. Okay, so our search is ready. Now this particular search will be referred as the manager ID of this particular drop down, right? Now I also need to have a all in my drop down. If I just show you over here, so this all is also there for gener ID and original language. So that means I can directly refer this my choice as well. So I can just directly add this guy over here as well for my drop down, and the default value will be star, which is the value of this all over here. Okay, remember you need to give the value over here, not the label value. Okay, and the field for label will be my gener ID, and field for value will be gener ID as well, and the div ID will be, let's say, gener ID drop down view. Okay, so we will create this particular div in similar way. So we'll go to edit, we'll go to source. Now we will add another HTML over here, right? So the name we'll be giving it over here as gener ID, and the div name we'll be giving it over here as same as we are giving it in my drop down, right? We will save it, we will bump it once, and let us test it out. Okay, now see it, like it is creating this gener ID drop down successfully over here, but in a new line, because we have used the div, HTML div over there to create this one, right? Now a div actually always creates a new line over there. Now some way we need to find it out how to make this gener ID, this is full stop coming over here, because if we just wanted to match with this guy, this particular inputs are like horizontally aligned over here, right? Horizontally arranged over here. So we need to do the similar way. Okay, now here the CSS is coming into picture. So using CSS, what we'll do is we will arrange them horizontally over here. Okay, so let us discuss that. Now it will be a very simple change. What we'll do is we'll go to edit, source. So what we'll do is we will wrap these two guys into another div. Okay, because these two guys needs to go together. So what we'll do is we'll say div. Now this div should be coming in over here, and we will say we'll assign a class. Okay, over here, let's say we can give any name over here. I'll give it as inline. Okay, so the similar stuff we'll be doing it for our gener ID drop down as well. Okay, so if you see it over here, I am giving the same class name over there. Okay, the class name as inline. So for all my inputs, now in my CSS in tmdb.css, we will access all those inputs which has class value as inline and set a property. That's the intention over here. That's what the intention behind giving a same class name over here. Okay, so we'll save it and we will go to our tmdb.css. So this is how you access a particular element using its class called dot, then the class name inline. Okay, and then within bracket I will just set the display as inline block. Okay, so that will be the value, so that it will be horizontally placed over here. Okay, so let us try to see whether this code is working or not. So we will bump it once, we will refresh this guy once. Okay, so if we are doing it correctly, okay, it did not affect it. Let me see if I did it correctly over there or not. Okay, I think this could be the issue over here. All these divs over here, if you see it, like we wrap it in a single div over here with class inline, right? Now this divs needs to be a single HTML body, right? Because we created separate HTML body, that's why it did not pick it up. That changes. So I'll just do one thing, I'll just move this divs in a single HTML body, then I think this should work. If you see, it's already gener ID is coming up over here. And if you see, like this two particular inputs are aligned horizontally now over here, or basically arranged horizontally over here. Okay, now let us try to quickly create the third one. Okay, so we will create basically this original language drop down over here. Okay, so time picker we will see in separate video, as I told. So we will go to tmdb.js. so this is, so there will be a search and there will be a drop down code over here, right? So that we will be adding it over here. So this will be original language post process search, post process search. So I'll just name it as orig_lang. Okay, so what will be the post process search over here? So if I just see the tmdb first dashboard, for original language this stats count by original language, right? So that is what we will be providing it over here. So in the drop down, the ID, let's say origlang, the manager ID will be this guy over here, original language search, right? So okay, let's give it a underscore over here. Okay, now choices can be my choices as well, because we are appending all over there. Default will be star, the field for value and field for label will be my original language over here. Okay, and the name of the div, let's say give origlang over here. Okay, let's save it. Now just like we did it for other drop downs, so we will be basically going to this JS dashboard and creating those divs over here, right? So we'll go to source. Now in the source we will just add, because we need this line as well, so we'll add another div under that same HTML body over here. Okay, so this will be my original language, original. Okay, I think I write it over here. So this will be my original language, and the div ID will be the same div ID which we have given it over here while creating that drop down, right? So let us give that over here. Now if everything correct, so this original language should be populated as well, the drop downs. Okay, now if you see it, the original language is also populating over here. So we created this multi-select input over here, the gener ID and the original language, these two drop downs over here, right? Now there are a couple of issues One is this multi-select one. When we are selecting a specific value, the all should go away. Okay, so that thing we'll be fixing it. Maybe we'll be using the similar kind of code over there. Okay, and we have to see another stuff, like currently if we just select any specific genre, the below panels are not getting refreshed, right? So we will see how we can pass these tokens over here. Okay, so probably we will be first working with passing the tokens, then maybe we will be fixing this multi-select stuff over there. Okay, I think let us do it in our next video regarding the token passing stuff. Okay, so because we are already crossing the 30 minutes over here, so let us do it in next video. We will talk about how we can pass these tokens, because there are certain manipulation needed for this multi-select. Because if I just go to edit source for this one, okay, I need to go to TMDB first dashboard. If you see for the release year, right, so apart from other stuff, for multi-select we also specified the value prefix, value suffix and delimiter, right? Because how the token value will be, because for multi-select those stuff is important. So we will see in the next video as well how we can achieve this kind of stuff over here. Okay, so hopefully this video was helpful. See you in next video.